Okay, so let us start the discussion. Let me start with one day. Are dreams real, or are they entirely fiction?
Wow, this is a setup from God, because I was going to share a testimony about dreams today.
Go ahead.
And just before we started, I was just talking about my contribution today, going to focus on my dreams. Because in the past few weeks, we have been talking about developing our spiritual life, growing in the spirit, letting the spirit be well ahead of the body, and letting the Holy Spirit, that is based on Jesus Christ, as against the law. So I remember that I want to say that whatever we say here, because we say it over and over again, and we hear it over and over again, and we try to internalize it, it becomes part of us. So there is a growth process going on in this meeting. So for me, I remember the last time when we were talking about God's laws and God's instruction and things like that. I remember I said that we need to exercise in the spirit. We need to do some spiritual exercise. I don't know whether I remember. We need to make some spiritual exercise. And I mentioned last week about my shortcoming, which we prayed about. And for me, the solution was just to exercise, work out in the Holy Spirit, work out in the spirit realm. And I tried to, it was difficult. I tried to. And I realized that I am my dream. I am my dream. Whatever I focus on, whatever I spend time on is who I am. And that's what will reflect in my dreams. So when that happened, and I was tempted again later on to go back to my ways. And I remember that, do I want to dream about that? Is that what I want to be? Because I am my dream. So if I go back to my old ways and continue to dream about it, that means I can predict what is going to happen from what I do. So dreams are real, very real. Dreams are very, very real. So and I'm a testimony.
Okay, all right. Let's see if we can get people to confirm what you have given us. Let me see, are dreams real, or are they entirely fiction?
Good evening.
Good evening.
They're more real than real life. They're not fictional.
Please expatiate.
If you're not dreaming, then you are in danger. And you don't the things that you would, a lot of the exposés that would come to you in dreams, if you don't have access to them, I don't even understand how people live their lives and they're not dreaming. I don't know how I'm not sure what it is that's happening. So when people tell me I don't dream, I'm like, there's a problem. How do you know what's happening under the surface? And that stuff is the real stuff of life. Because often you would be dreaming something that's contradictory to what is happening in what you would call real life. So, but then that thing that is in your dream is actually the real thing. And if you don't know, if you don't have the knowledge, then you are going to go astray. There's no question about it.
Very much. Actually, I believe everybody dreams. It's just that some of us.
Yeah, the dreams are covered up.
Yeah, some of us don't remember. Somebody doesn't want us to remember.
I was going to say, why is it today that your battery is 70 is half percent?
Oh, it's just an attack, you know. If I tell
So
you
you
all
have to
kinds,
do it.
I
You have
tell
to
you
do
all,
it on Monday next week.
right, I tell you all kinds of attacks that, but you know, we are still good. Worst case scenario, I'll go back to my office and get the things. Yes, Mr. Adebayo, what do you think? What is the reality of our dreams?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah. I know that dream is a gift from God for any believer, but sometimes it varies. When you are growing, some don't dream, they hear or they see. But for a few people, it makes it their dominant gift. That is to tell them or to know what God wants them to know part time. But there was a time I listened to somebody said, no, dreaming is a small level of Christianity, this and that. But all I know, like Brother One day just said, that for him, it's a dominant gift for him. But sometimes they kill the dreams around you. They won't allow you to see anything. They obstruct it if you don't do spiritual exercise. Spiritual exercise is praying, speaking in tongues before you sleep. There's a particular psalm that I read every night before I sleep. I dream too. I read Psalm 19, Psalm 29. So it sharpens my spiritual antenna. That is the only thing I can say. That
What is special about this? What is special about Psalm 19?
Psalm 19, two things are special about Psalm 19. It makes your spiritual antenna to be tuned, either to hear, to see, or to have an encounter, so that in the night, no one will press you down. You are on top, you are above. That is my understanding about the two Psalms.
Hold on. Let's quickly see this Psalm 19. I want to see this Psalm 19. I can't think of it offhand. So that we can profit from what you're saying. Psalm 19.
Yes,
The
sir.
heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork.
Handiwork.
Day unto day,
Day unto day,
night unto night reveals knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Their line has gone out through all the earth, their words to the end of the world. In them he has set a tabernacle for the sun. It is like a bridegroom coming out of his chamber and rejoices like a strong man to run its race. His rising is from one end of the heaven and his circuit to the other end. And there is nothing hidden from his heat.
yes.
The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure.
The Lord is sure, making wise the simple.
Statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. Judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. Moreover, by them your servant is warned, and in keeping them there is great reward. Who can understand his errors? Cleanse me from secret faults. Keep back your servant also from presumptuous sins. Let them not have dominion over me. Then I shall be blameless, and I shall be innocent of great transgression. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. I'm not sure why this particular psalm, or is it any psalm or any scripture? What is so special about this particular psalm that it's operates as a megad for you at night.
Yeah,
It's in the
I
Psalm.
use about 3.
No, no, no,
I
no.
use 2 Psalms and the book of.
Relax. When we are talking about one, don't jump to another one. You told
Okay,
Psalm
I
19.
use this because
19.
it enlightens me. It makes
what,
my spirit light to pick
how,
whatever God is telling me per time.
why, in what way? How does it make your spirit light? What is it about it that makes your spirit light?
It illuminates my heart, even in my sleep. If I read it very well in my sleep, I woke up around 2:30, and before the day, I don't do anything again. I keep reading. It helps me a lot.
Okay.
Even in receiving information from God, it helps me a lot.
All right. You are not, but you are not, you are not prone to tell us how it helps you. It's all right. Let's leave it there. Okay. My next question is, who is the architect of your dreams? Bani Akpong. Bani, can you hear me?
Good evening, sir. Yes, I can hear you.
Good evening. Yes, who is the author of your dreams?
Well, I think sometimes it depends on your state of mind, I think.
Okay.
At times, when God wants to show you things, He is the author of the dream. He's the one, because He wants to show you something, or He wants to tell you something, He wants to speak to you. He is the author at that time. And then sometimes it's probably because of the thoughts you must have had during the days, because I know personally, when I dwell on some things, or when I think about some things a lot, I start to dream about them. And I know at those times that it might not be God speaking. It might just be because I've thought about it too much. I don't know. And then there are some other times that you just know that it's God who is speaking to you. So I think it depends.
So you can identify 2 authors, God or your own thoughts, multitude of business. We said that last week. Just 2 authors.
Yeah, I think so.
Does the
Yeah, for me,
devil interfere in your dreams?
I think the devil could sometimes.
Let me ask you a question, which is basically conjectural. In the end, it's a matter of opinion. Can the devil read your thoughts?
And funny enough, I've thought about this thing. I just thought about it some weeks ago, and I think he can't. I'm not. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that your thoughts can be read by God alone. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Miss Yandang.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, church.
Good evening. How is Kaduna?
Oh, I'm back to Lagos. Fine, thank you.
You come by air or by road?
By air.
Oh, thank God. Okay, that's quick. Yes. Who is the author of your dreams?
The author of my dreams, God.
Nobody else.
God.
The devil never gives you any dream.
I don't think I've received any dream from the devil. So far, I can't remember. Sorry?
He has not scared you about anything.
Nah, no.
No? Oh, yeah, we are a special person. Yeah, and you don't fabricate your own dreams. You don't have a dream factory in your mind.
Maybe I have to think about that, but I can't remember any. But like the scary ones from the devil, no, I've not. Except the ones that can be frightening, can scare me from God because it's telling me something. But
Okay, so God can scare you as well.
he's passing a message, right? But I might wake up scared because I don't want what I've seen to happen. So that kind of
Have you ever seen a snake in your dream?
No.
You said no. Okay, Miss Yandang, thank you. Yes, Benedict.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, George.
If you find yourself in a dream in a classroom, you are back in school, what can it mean?
I didn't get this, sir.
You find yourself in a classroom in a dream. What can it mean?
Found myself in a classroom in a dream. It has happened before. But in that classroom, whether you are the one teaching.
You are not the student, you are the one teaching.
No, you are the one teaching.
I'm saying, what does it mean? I'm not interested in talking about the fact that you are back in the classroom.
What it means, more than what it means that the Lord is teaching me something that I can bring out for me, that there's something that the Lord is teaching me or that He wants to teach me.
But the dream usually does not tell you what is being taught. It just shows you that you are back.
No, just show that you are in a classroom. Yes.
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 So, if you say it means the Lord is teaching me something, then He doesn't have to take it to a classroom. He can just give you a message. But if you're in a classroom,
sorry, sir. The one that happened, I said happened that we are all I'm not just really want to with other people in the classroom, and I saw you teaching. Even though what we were discussing, what we were teaching, I cannot say, I didn't know, but I know that I met myself in a classroom, and the way that was teaching us was Dr. Femi Aribisala. It was not that there's one particular topic that he was teaching.
What does it mean? What does it mean? You're still describing situations. What does it mean?
I don't know. Probably just God trying to reveal that I'm a student, or
you never asked about it.
I didn't ask about it.
I don't know what it meant.
I know I didn't.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
I don't know. I can throw the question open, or I can ask someone directly. Has it ever happened to you that you found yourself back in the classroom in a dream? If it's happened to you, can I see your hand up? So I'm not okay, Mr. Wande. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah.
How did you understand it?
Yeah, it happens to me all the time, and I think it means that there is a lesson God wants me to learn that I have not learned, or that He wants to keep teaching me over and over again. I can give an example. Most of the time, I see myself in secondary school uniform, or sometimes I see myself in the university, and I find out that there are some messages God or lessons God has taught me that I fail to learn, or that I've not mastered. So He presents it to me over and over again in the mode of learning. He presents it to me over and over again, meaning like we normally discuss that we never pass out of university. We never, God's university, we never pass out. This life is a university, we keep learning. So it happens to me every week, almost every other day, that I find myself still in school, learning something that God wants me to take to heart. Either that I've been failing in it one, or I've passed it before, He wants me to go higher. Okay. I think that's it.
Thank you. Anybody else that has had this experience? As I said, so I don't just have to just call you to testify about something that might not apply to you. Yes, hear me, see.
I just wanted to say that I don't see myself in classrooms anymore. When I used to see myself in classrooms, it was usually that I had a test. I did not know that the test was happening, or I forgot to study. And so that period of my life is gone. What?
You forgot to study. You're talking
Yeah.
about
So
tests? Or what?
sorry.
When you say you forgot to study what?
So you would, in the dream, I'd be there and I'd be like, I just remember, do I have a test?
Okay.
But I haven't studied. Then I would be in front of the test and I'm like, but I've not studied now, I'm going to fail this test. So that was recurring. Or it would be, I would just be in front of a test paper and I would not know how to answer the questions because I wasn't prepared. So I had a lot of those examinations that I knew I wasn't going to pass, those kinds of dreams. I stopped having those
What
dreams.
did you do about them?
At the time, because I was young, I didn't understand what I didn't know what they were about. So I just had them and I thought, what is this? I didn't understand that I was going into a very long season of trials. So that was what I found after the fact. So it was going to be a long season of trials that I was going to be not particularly ready for. And I was going to be failing a lot. I was going to be shocked. So all of the stuff that would happen to you if you suddenly came to school and they said, oh, there's a test and you did not know about it. That's the exact same thing that would happen in real life. So, but what I have been seeing recently is I'm not in the classroom, but I will just be maybe outside. Oh, so or I will hear, oh, you're starting university in a few days, or you're going to a new university so that has been happening a lot. And what I believe, as he said one day, the word there is higher learning. So wherever you see that university, it means that you're going to enter a phase where you're going to be exposed to a higher form of training from God. And it is not, when it says higher, it means higher. It's not going to be easy because university is not particularly easy. So, but not in the classroom. Not.
Thank you very much. Yes, Miss Yandang.
Okay, mine is it's slightly, should I say slightly? It's kind of completely different from what Yemisi and I don't know the other person, Landis said. Yes, so I've dreamt and then I saw myself in school, in a classroom, and apparently university. And was actually in the university I had all of these dreams, and they just meant what like the reality of things while in the university. So for example, there was a time I dreamt about an exam and I saw the exam paper in my dream. So I just woke up, I read, and I went to the exam hall. So mine was like that.
Was it
the
exact exam paper or just the title of it?
exact thing, the exact paper, the same thing,
But
as it was not bad.
Did this dream come the day before the exam or it gave you some time to?
No, like a day before the exam, I think one night. So I just woke up,
You couldn't
read.
you couldn't do you couldn't
I
do.
read. I woke up and I read. I didn't take chances. I read at least. Then went for the exam the following morning. And then throughout my university, I saw my result. I never went to the notice board. I always saw my results in my dreams. My friends would just come back and confirm because when I wake up, I'll write it down. They usually use me to come out because when I dream of my result, 1 week later, results will come out. So they will all be waiting. They will get my result from me. They will just go and cross-check for me on the notice board, basically.
I had a similar experience, like when you are talking about once.
Wow, fantastic.
The headmaster of Femi's school wrote to me and said that he was preparing for his GCSE, and he said that he had done very badly in his mock exams, and that he was going to fail his GCSE. And that means that they will not be able to take him to do the sixth form or whatever it is, etc. So I was so angry with the man. I wrote to him and said, "Are you God? How do you know he's going to fail? How do you know?" I mean, it was very annoying. I said, "Is it because he's black? Because he was in school in England." And then he took the GCSE, and when he came home, 6 weeks before the results, God showed me the results. And they were practically all A's. You know, and I came to the dining room the next morning and I said, "Look, I've seen your results." He said, "You know, did they arrive?" I said, "No." I said, "God showed them to me and I dictated them." And 6 weeks later, when the results came, they were exactly what God had shown to me.
Yeah.
Exactly the grades that he got. Yes, one day you were going to say something.
I said that's fantastic.
Okay. Dreams that are exams that we take. There are all kinds of other kinds of dreams that we have. Have you ever had a dream where you are wrestling with somebody? Festus. Is Festus here? Okay, let's go to Dotun in the meantime. Dotun, have you had a dream in which you are either a wrestler or a boxer with somebody?
Well, if I can, the one I can remember is when I was very small. Maybe at the age of 5, 6, 4, 5 time ago, you know. And the dreams I was having at that time was not good at all. It was just people fighting me, threatening me, different kinds of things. Some I beat them up, some I run away. You know, it happened several times at that time. But they get to a particular level in my life that the old dream stops. It just stopped, bam. I didn't know the reason why. But now, if I have to compare it to now, that I think that I know God better than way back. Like what Comfort was saying, I don't think I have any dream that I can say is from the devil, or you know, it's very difficult for me because my dream might not be every day, but once I dream it, it's always coming to pass. So and when I dream those dreams, it's always talking about something. And most of it, let's just say 50% of those dreams, sometimes I dream them, I forget about them. It was during the time that it comes to fulfillment. That's when I would remember that, God has showed me this before. You know, those are the common dreams that I used to have now. You know, but that's why it's very difficult for me to think about something and dream about it. It hasn't happened to me. Maybe I don't know when I was young, but now it hasn't, because I always believe that everything, our state of mind determines certain things. Our spiritualities determine certain things. Because I remember at the time I used to read Psalm. And Psalm, at that time, I don't too much like Psalms, because Psalms always talk about fight. Fight this one, you kill this one kill you, like Psalm 35. I don't like that Psalm. You know, when they say we'll kill your enemy, you know about fight, kill. So I read a lot about those Psalms at that time. At the time, I stopped reading them because I wasn't so sure about this fight, vengeance. But lately, the messages of healing wings really cleaning me up, really make me to understand the interpretation of most of those psalms, most of those Bible words, you know. So because of that, it's very difficult for me to be afraid of something or to be whatever. I am not, because I'm always be mindful that God is in control of everything. You know, I must think about God. I must every day, everything I do, everything is always something that I want God to help me to walk through. That's just it.
Okay, thank you. Let me ask the same question to Mr. Adeyinka. I don't know why I think that he might have been Mike Tyson in some dreams. Mr. Adebayo. Mr. Adebayo here. No. Mr. Yandang, Bege. Good evening.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Hello, sir.
Now, what for you, Mr. Adebayo? What happened? You left your post and went somewhere else.
Somebody was taking my earpiece.
Have you fought people in dreams before?
About many times.
What did they do to you?
Initially, somebody came to me and gave me a gun, a bullet, back. I just enter into a dish. So from that dish, I just shout, Jesus! I don't know, I just somehow tested out with a powerful gun. And I destroy him. So I woke up sweating. That was my experience.
You know the person?
Yes, I know the person.
What happened to the person in real life?
So the following day, when the person saw me, he turned back. He turned back and went different direction.
So that dream really happened.
Yeah. Then another one that made someone to leave our area is that when I was young, more younger, I saw in my dream, the man sells, we call them chemists in my area. So I saw him in my dream that he said I should come and buy something for him. And in the process of buying something for me, he took me away in a Volkswagen and I could not return again. So when I woke up, I couldn't explain it to my guardians then. So the following day, about 2 days later, the man now saw me. And the way I saw it in the dream, he sent me. And I'm the first to come back from school. So as I come back from school, I said, let me drop the key to the house. As I collected the key to drop in the house, I opened the door, locked everywhere, that nobody will get access to me until my parents come. So others are now banging, I didn't answer until I hear the voice of my parents and now open the door and now narrate why I locked the door to them. So the moment they now went to challenge the man, that was what made the man to leave that area till tomorrow. Those are my two encounters.
You challenge the man just on the basis of your dream?
Yes.
And what did the man say?
He couldn't explain it, he ran away. I think he has such intention.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. That's a very interesting experience. Chuchu, are you here?
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Let me describe the scenario to you. You went somewhere in a dream, you parked your car, and then you went and did something, but when you came back, You couldn't find your car anymore. Has ever happened to you in a dream? Something somewhere and it was stolen.
No.
You left something somewhere and you couldn't find it.
No, I'm not sure.
That's never happened to you.
I can't remember anything like that.
Hold on, hold your horses. Has it happened to anybody here? Something was stolen from you in a dream. Jesus says the thief doesn't come except to steal, to kill, to destroy. You put something somewhere and you came back, you couldn't find it. Yes, Festus. It's a very common dream. Yeah, Festus.
Yes, it happens to me also. So many times that I have a dream. There's one time that I have a dream that I went somewhere and I parked a car, then I come out, I didn't see it. And I start wondering what happened. Was it that I didn't know where I parked the car exactly? You know, start checking everywhere. You check it, go here, go here, go here.
What does
And
it
then
mean?
I jump and I woke up.
What does it mean?
Yes, 2 ways. When I wake up, I think that there is something that the devil want to steal from me. And I want to steal peace, peace of mind.
Okay.
Something want to steal peace of mind from me. So he bring the scenario so that I'll be scared. So I automatically say it's a lie of the devil. He cannot steal my peace out of me. He's just trying to bully me in the dream. So there's sometimes that I also dream that I lost some money. Yes, I dreamed that I lost some money. One certain time, I dreamed that I come back from work and I put 10,000 somewhere, and I wake up the next day, I didn't see the money. And then I wake up. So when I wake up, I say, and surprisingly, that is the same. I bring the same money home. That's Sunday. I bring the same 10,000 naira home. Then I wake up, I decided to go and check. I know whether that's not was still in physical, was not stolen in physical, but it shows to me was telling me that there is something, either I place some value on that money, and that's why God is telling me that it's nothing, that it can be stolen at any time. That is where I interpreted that maybe the money was that 10,000 at that time was so precious to me. That's why God was telling me that it can be stolen.
It might not be the money that he's talking about. It might not be the money, but the devil wants to steal something from you that is valuable to you. It might not be money. The money might just be the symbol of that thing. I mean, earlier on you said it was peace of mind in one case. It could be anything. But the important thing when that happens is for us to try and find out precisely what it is, because God is giving us a clue as to some kind of theft that is about to happen or that is actually ongoing. Thank you, Festus. Bege?
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
While Festus was talking, I remembered a dream I had one time. It was really funny. I went to the market, so more like there's this customer who I'm used to buying things from.
You are the customer.
So I went this time around and I couldn't recognize the shop. So I had to, start looking for other customers that had the same thing. I really cannot place the thing I went to buy. And then I parked somewhere in the middle of the market and started going from shop to shop. And then just when I saw the shop that had what I was looking for, I was trying to buy. Then I recognized this customer's shop. And I could see him in his shop looking at me. So the look it was giving me two different, I had two different interpretations of that look. One was more like, you're buying from another store today. But there was another look that was, also like, look, be careful, And then I got some things. I didn't get all the things I wanted in the store. So I just picked a few things. And then I decided to move away, While I moved, there were this group of people that just came and then started to harass me, started to look for trouble, to put it that way. And I was trying to understand what they were doing, and then one mind was like, oh, look, maybe just let these guys go. Because another mind was like, you can take them, just fight. And I was considering things that I had on me. I had money. Sorry, you say?
You alone to fight three of them.
I used to be that crazy, sir. So the old me wanted to come back and, decide to fight the three of them. But I was considering my phones, I was considering money, I was considering, okay, if they go with my wallet or my ID card. So there were a lot of things going through my mind, not knowing that, they were not even coming for me. They were actually coming for those things. And in fact, including the car. So they were trying to even distract me so that I would not get to the car. In fact, the dream was very funny because at some point I got into the car again. And then how it happened. I got into the car and then there was somebody who just parked on the road. Yes, exactly. That was exactly what happened. Just parked, opened his... Sorry?
Was he blocking you?
Yes. It was a very tight, the space he left was very tight. And I was just thinking, how could somebody park like this, on the road? And he was smiling, very nonchalant, just really, really irritating me, So I came down. Yes, I came down from the car to say, look, move your car. And that's where the whole thing started, the guys and everybody. There was just a lot of drama. And, before I knew it, the car was nowhere. I checked my pocket and I was trying to, look for my phone. My phone too was gone. And I was so angry when I woke up. I was very angry. Like it was one dream I didn't forget because I was really, really...
What did you do about it?
When I woke up...
How did you interpret it? What do you think was the relevance of it for you?
For me, the dream was just trying to tell me never to lose focus, not to allow myself to get distracted, because I saw all of those people. There was one thing that was clear. There was a lot of distraction. So for me, it was like the devil wants to steal something from you. You need to stay focused and do not let anybody or anything distract you, because once you get distracted, then you lose.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Missy.
I think the reason why I was hesitating to answer is it happens the other way with me. So usually there is some theft that is going on in my life that I am unaware of. And it's happening from people who are around me. And sometimes it's been happening for a very long time and I don't know about it. Then I've been praying over a period of time, and then I have a very specific dream, and some of those dreams are very dramatic. So I haven't had my car stolen, but sometimes I would hold there was a dream where I held my right hand up and my fingers had been cut off. So my index finger was, the two middle fingers were cut. And there was a dream where I want to mention the person's name, but in the dream, I turned around and she was wearing a ring. Now that ring was the ring that when they shared out my grandmother's jewelry, that ring came to me because I was the first granddaughter. So that ring has a lot of significance attached to it. And the person was wearing the ring. So I looked at her and I said, take the ring off. And usually when I can challenge somebody, and when you also say about fighting, I'm not usually physically fighting people, but I am giving a very strong order for them to do something. And they don't have a choice. They have to do that thing when I tell them to do it. So I told her, give me my ring back, take the ring off right now. And she was hesitating, but she didn't have a choice. She had to give me the ring back. So usually I would have a dream that would indicate that theft has happened because I wasn't aware of it. And it's funny because sometimes when I look, I'm like, how did I miss that? But it happens so often. I'm not sure what it is. And then I have to start sometimes pray to see who is behind the theft. And usually the person is quite close to me. Then I have to pray to recover that thing that has been stolen. And all of this has really nothing to do with going to that person in the physical and saying anything to them. Yeah, so that's
Two things here, see, because this is personal stuff. I mean, I was the one that shared those, that divided those, my mother's jewelry to her grandchildren. One, Karen complained later on because we don't have girls. So none came to us. He said, he said, you should have still shared some for grandchildren or whatever. But the other thing is that, most of Mama's jewelry had been stolen. Okay. It was a leftover that I was sharing because, I know a lot of my mother's jewelry and a lot of it had been stolen. And, it's a long story, confronting the person who stole it, etc. I mean, that was another.
I think that it's incredible, the significance of that. There are two major pieces that I still wear today. And whenever I wear those pieces, people are like, where did you get this jewelry from? So it's interesting about the spirituality of it as well, because not only does it indicate my position in a household, but it draws a lot of envy. So when the jewelry comes up in dreams, it is not only pointing to that thing where you sat around and you shared the things out, but it is saying a lot of things about who I am. It's about my identity, which is interesting. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wande.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
For me, the theft in the dream will be like struggling for my gift. I have a struggle. Sometimes it's area boys around maybe Third Mainland Bridge, or when I go to the island, my church is on the island, and they're saying, or maybe I go to cash some money in the bank, and all of a sudden I see people see me counting money. I don't collect it. Oftentimes they're not successful to collect it. But sometimes I find out the deeper meaning of it is they're not struggling for the money, but they're struggling for a gift that I have. And I know God is a father and giver of all gifts. So when it happens like that, I think that
it might have the reason might have been because I was wasteful with the gift at some point, or whether I threw some fragments away. When I say fragments from the 5 loaves and 2 fish. You know, I was also gather all the fragments that none is lost. So maybe I'd been building that gift to a certain extent, and people are envious, or people feel this guy can create so much beauty. So there's a struggle in that dream to steal that gift. And it comes in real life, such that it is when I'm now lucid. I'm using the word lucid emphatically because it's not a metaphor. But when I'm now lucid, I can find out how much beauty I have in creating with my gift.
Thank you very much for that. Yes, you're done. Bad day girl, comfort.
But they are fast. Okay, so I actually wanted to respond to Biggie or just react to what he said earlier. And it's kind of a confession. So growing up, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you, just go on.
Okay, sorry. So growing up, knowing how Biggie was, I used to fight. He doesn't used to go and look for trouble, but he used to defend. Me on my own, I'm now gonna look for trouble.
Is it Biggie that looks for trouble or you?
He doesn't look for trouble. That's what I say. I said, his own is just defend his family, right? So me,
deal with him now. So.
And I'll now be boasting. My brother will fight for me.
You want to go and get your brother into trouble.
So I just wanted to confess. When you make mention that, I said I have to confess.
Your brother is Mike Tyson. He'll beat everybody up.
Nah, he was a very good fighter. I'll ask him. I don't know why he did not fight them. Even if they were 5, he would have fought all of them. So I'm even angry, said not fight them in that dream.
Wow. Okay, thank you. Oga lawyer, Barnabas.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Yes, sir. Yes. Do you have some dreams that come with regular persistence or insistence, repetitive dreams? You have this dream and then you have it again and then you have it again. Sometimes it might be exactly the same dream, or it might be in the same mold. Have you had that experience?
Okay, I'm trying to think.
You are trying to think, then it means you don't have that experience.
I think I've said it before that I'm not much of a dreamer per se. So
if you keep saying that you will not dream, it means that somebody is stealing your dreams and you are letting them say you are not much of a dreamer.
Okay, I claim my dreams back in Jesus' name.
So you have not had any major or significant dreams?
Well, your question is that the ones that will keep on repeating themselves.
Okay,
I'm trying to
I had to move away from that question because you say you don't even dream. So I assume that the answer to that one is no. It hasn't occurred to you. It hasn't happened with you.
I can't remember.
Okay, but can you remember any dream of significance that you've had? Since you say you are not a dreamer. In the year of our Lord 2021, have you had any dream?
Yes, I must have had dreams, but my problem is I really cannot remember what they were about. So maybe
For you.
Obviously, I must have had dreams. Yeah.
Somebody doesn't want you to know. Somebody has been stealing your dreams and you have been allowing them. Don't worry, we will pray for you tonight. You're going to dream tonight.
Amen.
And you will remember.
Amen.
Okay, let me pose the same question that you didn't answer to Bernie. Bernie, do you dream in your case? Are you prone to dreams?
Yeah, for me, I dream. I dream, yeah, I dream.
Can you remember any dreams that you've had that has been repetitive dreams?
I don't normally dream with repetitive dreams, but I know that there are some dreams that I just have, and you feel worried about it afterwards, and then I just pray and tell God to, depending on what the dream is about, pray about the dream and then wait to hear from God concerning it. Sometimes those things that you dreamt about actually happen, and when they happen, you're like, when I dream about those things, I forget. I might not even remember it after I prayed about it. I just move on, and then it's when it happens that you're like, oh, I've seen something like, it's like deja vu, and you're like, I've seen this thing has happened before, but I don't really.
So what was the significance of your praying about it? What did your prayer do if it still came to pass?
No, if it's something that is, if it's a dream that I know is something, if it's something bad, if it's something that you don't want to come to pass, you pray about it. And sometimes it might not be something bad, it might just be an occurrence, an event, it might not be something bad entirely, Let me give an example. There was a time I had a dream concerning my dad passing, and I was very worried about it. He was not. I prayed about it. In fact, I've had so many dreams about him passing before he eventually passed. But
how old was he?
He was 74.
Okay.
So when I was in school, I dreamt about him passing, and then there was no phone, so I'll send letters home just to find out if he was fine. I would cry and cry after the dream and pray, and he sounded well. There was nothing wrong with him. So those kind of dreams, even after the dream, after you've prayed about it, it's like it's even more vibrant, And then when he eventually passed, I didn't even dream that he was going to leave us.
You had already seen it a long time ago.
Yeah. So, and I was consoled, kind of, I don't know, it was just, it was easier to handle, maybe.
Yes, you had handled it.
Yeah.
In forewarned.
So that's it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if you can help me with this. I had a dream about somebody who, an old family friend. And in the dream, it seemed like he died of COVID. And so I became very concerned about it. I started praying. Then I asked my sister-in-law, asked James's mom, to please find out about him, etc. And she said, no, the guy is okay. And this was quite a while back. And very recently, I saw him on Facebook. And I wrote a comment to him and he replied. Now, what does that mean? Why did I have a dream about him passing? Can you hazard a guess? What can it mean? Or was it that my prayer did something to take it away or something? I don't even know. I don't know what it means.
Maybe he was probably going through something, and
he's actually a medical doctor.
Yeah, he could have been going through something, even if it's a medical doctor. Maybe it might not be COVID per se. Maybe he was going through something and you prayed about it, and it might not be that he was going to die. Sometimes your dreams are not exactly the way you dream them.
They're not precise. Okay.
Yeah, it might be something else.
Okay, before I give the floor to Yemisi, I just, I asked about the repetitive aspect of it because we're given a clue in scriptures in Genesis 41. Let me open it because, when God gave the dream about the period of famine and the period of plenty to Pharaoh, he had the dream more than once. And in Genesis 41:32, it says, and the dream was repeated to Pharaoh twice because the thing is established by God and God will surely bring it to pass. Now, I think it was Uzochi that asked me about this scripture because she said she had dreams that were repeated. And I said, well, the clue that I have in scripture is that when God repeats a dream to you, it means that he is definitely going to bring it to pass and the time is short. So you need to do something about it the sooner rather than later. Danny, thank you. Yes, Yemisi.
Can I just be forward and ask if the person you dreamt about is the same person that I'm thinking about?
No, actually, the person I dreamt about was Deepo Otoloni.
That's what I mean, because I dreamt about him a few days ago and I don't have any relationship with him. But the funny thing about him in the dream was that he was bald.
And that was the dream?
That was the dream. So he was positioned in the dream and he didn't look particularly well, but then he's never been doesn't have a lot of weight on him. And that was it. So it's interesting because, I mean, I've not had a discussion about him with anyone because he doesn't turn up, he's not part of my life at all. But as you said, that was who came to mind. And then I remembered. So I said I should bring it up. And I also hope that it isn't, because sometimes when you see somebody, they die, it's a timing issue.
Okay, all right. Thank God that I mentioned it because that means that I have to continue praying for him because
Yeah.
I thought, what does it mean? I don't have frivolous dreams like that. This was quite vivid. I was very concerned. I contacted your mom, and then she didn't do anything about it. Later on, I asked her again. I said, "Oh, he's okay," etc. And recently, he was celebrating his 50th wedding anniversary. Saw him on Facebook. I wrote a note, and I said, "Okay, thank God this guy is okay." But obviously, I think that the prayer needs to continue. Now, let's go on. Are there people here who've had these very common incidents of somebody pressing them down in a dream? I mean, it's actually in the English language, we call it nightmare. A nightmare is somebody that rides you at night. Okay. Mr. Deleke, yes.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question based on the comment you just made. When you about the dream that you said you had. If somebody had a dream about somebody dying, what are we supposed to do? Okay, we pray for the person. Well, I don't know what our prayer is supposed to prolong the life of the person or supposed to do. I don't understand. And when I look at the Bible, when Ezekiel was sick, that is the time for him to die. He started praying, started talking to God, and then later added 15 more years, and the 15 more years become one horrible year. But from that point, I don't know what are we supposed to do. Praying for the person, fine, but what is the expectation? That it will be prolonged or what? I don't know.
About healing. I mean, that somebody is sick, we shouldn't pray because, I mean, what are we praying about? If he's healed, then his life will be longer, No. We pray for life. We pray to avert death. Life is always good. That's my own appraisal of that. If somebody dies in a dream, then I pray that God should raise the person back to life, give the person life.
Okay. It can also be that praying for the person it's not only natural life, it's also help the spiritual life.
Yes.
Maybe we are happy with kingdom of God.
I pray for people that were physically sick and they have died. And I knew that they lived spiritually. So either way, in a healing ministry, if somebody is sick, you pray for him to be healed. How God interprets it, implements it, is up to God. It's a division of labor. Anybody you touch and pray for, you touch and pray and God will heal. So we pray and God heals. So if a person is dead, you can raise him from the dead. I mean, I've prayed for physically dead people and they've come back alive 3 times. So if I see somebody is dead, I pray.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, let me see.
You asked about the pressing down.
Yes.
So for what will probably be about 7 to 8 years, I was attacked by a particular person, and it was consistent.
You knew the person, you saw the person.
Yes, I know exactly who the person was.
Because I have been attacked from youth, from I was 2, 3, 4. Somebody would come and press me down on the bed. I never saw the person until I met Christ, and it was only a demon that I saw. But anyway, go on.
No, but this was a person, and the person is obviously occultic, and the person would then follow up with physical requests. So they wanted something, they would come before, then they would follow it up. Then I would have to navigate that situation. And funnily enough, 2018, I told you, because I said it at a meeting here, I saw you in a dream and you said, you're not going to be attacked anymore at night. And the attacks started to dwindle from that point until the last attack was when the person actually tried to initiate me. So the person came and tried to push me from a canoe into water. And the more recent dreams, I get pulled out. So whenever that, in a sense, it's almost as if I'm supposed to see it, but whatever that thing is not going to happen. So that person will come, they will attempt something, and at the point at which they are going to do that thing, I wake up from the dream. So that's my response.
What is your relationship with that person now? Why do you even have a relationship with the person?
That I can't actually answer here because that would be saying too much. But I don't have a relationship with the person by choice. I have a relationship with the person because I don't have a choice.
Okay.
And so I don't really have a relationship with them. And that is the problem, because there's distance. They're trying to close that distance. And the way they do it is by turning up in my dreams.
Wow. Wow. Okay, thank you. Tutu. I'm interpreting this because the last question I asked you didn't apply to you. Okay, but this doesn't necessarily have to apply to you, but then you may be able to interpret it. If somebody has a dream and he's flying in the dream, what can it mean?
Okay, so I just wrote it down in my notes. to ask you after the service because you didn't ask anything related to it. So I wanted to ask you after the service what it can mean. I don't know if it's flying, like real flying, or falling, or
you're not in a plane. You are just you're just flying. Yeah.
Yes. So please help. What does that actually mean?
Okay. All right. We're going to discuss that. Mr. Wande wants to help us with it.
This is very interesting. Very, very interesting. In the early 90s, I went to a military school, an Air Force school in Ikeja, and I was a cadet. Somehow I was living in the base for some time, for the first 3 years in the Air Force base. And I came across, in my room, I came across a book that talked about spirituality. I was young then at the time. But I noticed that I was always dreaming about people talking, holding meetings in the trees near the house and all that. And we also lived in 1004 on the 12th floor. I found that I used to have dreams flying. So I don't know whether flying has to do with the fact that it was an Air Force plane that we were flying in. I'm serious. Because I saw myself, because we were living on the 12th floor, I was up till now, sometimes I'll see myself jumping from the 3rd floor. I'm racing downstairs. I'll jump from the 6th floor to the 4th floor, jump to the 2nd floor. And so I know it's not literal flying you're talking about, but I wanted to mention this because in the Air Force then, we used to fly us in the C-130 and things like that. But I used to see myself flying, really rarely see myself flying. And I know I've gone for a deliverance before. Somebody was saying, do you fly? And I said, yes, I used to fly.
Don't mind them. Look at Isaiah 40:31. Isaiah 40:31 says, those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. So one way of understanding you flying is spiritual strength.
Wow.
Some people will tell you, if you ever see yourself flying in the dream, it means you are a winch. It's a lie. It's a lie. The child of God cannot be a winch. Palibo wants to educate us. Palibo Lawson, please go ahead.
Me, I fly a lot in dreams, though. As a matter of fact, it's like a matrix experience. Sometimes I'm flying away from some harm. Sometimes I'm flying in the air just to see how things go. And those moments, you feel angelic. And sometimes the ability to fly, even in dreams, comes from a place of you are the one who is able to lift, and then you come down, you lift, and you come down. And those times are actually some of my best dreams, to be honest. So the one they say is witchcraft or wizardry, me, I don't believe that. I fly a lot. Sometimes I fly, sometimes I walk on water. In the dreams. And personally, if I don't dream, I have a big problem.
Sorry? What? How do you interpret a believer flying in a dream?
Well, the believer flying in a dream is more like, for me, it's a manifestation of the God nature in you. That is the way I see it.
Okay. I think I agree with you. I mean, I don't, the believer is not a witch or a wizard. I think it's God's victory. I mean, look at one day I was saying, you jump several stairs. That's fantastic. That is, I mean, those who do know they are God, they are strong and they do exploits. There are all kinds of exploits that I do in dream. I mean, I told you before that one time I was running forward and then suddenly I started running backward. You can't do that in physical, but you can do it. You can do it in a dream. Okay, thank you. Let's go to, who can we go to? Benedict. What if you see, okay, let me see.
Sorry, you say I'm the only one that dreams in this place.
It's fine.
Yeah, I was actually going to agree with you that flying is, I'll be very surprised if, I don't know. I don't want to talk about witches because I don't know anything about them, but I know that flying is actually spiritual strength. But I was going to ask something about panoramic. I don't, because I said it to my daughter and she didn't know what I was talking about, where you fall asleep for a second and you dream of like 24 hours. I don't know if that happens to anyone else.
How do you know it's 24 hours? Your dream lasts 24 hours.
As in, there's so much information. I'm exaggerating. It doesn't mean, I don't mean 24 hours, but in that split second, it's like you see, exactly, it's a panoramic thing. So you can see like a film reel. And there's just so much information, you know that it's impossible. And you've just actually fallen asleep. So it's that space between, you know how you nod off and you just see this expanse of information. I don't know if it happens to anyone else.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. What are you trying to say?
Yeah, let me see. It's one of the most amazing, for me, I call it the most amazing spiritual experiences that you can have. I know what you're talking about. And in my own experience, oftentimes, 1 hour of a dream world is oftentimes equivalent to 24 hours or more. The time difference here for you in the dream world is actually longer than when you were in the physical world. That is why in the dream world. Huh?
Go on. I'm not interrupting you.
Yeah. In the dream world, you can actually experience several, not just hours or days, within the night sleep that you have. So the panoramic experience oftentimes like a spiritual insight into a world that is so different. It's more like, how do I, so I identify with what you are saying. Very, very inspiring. I always say to people, if I don't dream, I love to dream at night. It's a beautiful experience, like other than the world.
Your voice is breaking a bit. Now, the panoramic construct, I have not experienced it in a dream, but I've experienced it in a vision. And in fact, it happened when I met God. You know, I was attacked by armed robbers on Airport Road. And in the middle of the attack, I saw a panoramic vision of my life. It was like right before my eyes. I saw everything that this is the beginning and the end of my life. It was like I saw everything that happened to me in a split second. And I knew that your life is over. No matter how you slice and dice it, this is the end for you tonight. So I mean, I've had it as a vision, but you know, these are just things that God, that wonderful God does for His children. Barnabas, what if you eat in dreams? If you saw yourself, if you saw yourself in a dream, sitting down to two chinkafi, I mean, you know.
I'll eat you.
What does it mean?
No,
Because some people say that if you eat in dreams, you are eating poison.
I think that's just superstitious.
Somebody is trying to poison you. What do you think?
Well, I really don't believe in it because I don't believe that. Okay, so let me talk as a child of God now, because other people who are not children of God to dream. I don't know in their own case, but I believe that as a child of God, there is no amount of poison that somebody will put in your dream that will affect you. So I don't believe that has any effect on a child of God. So if you see yourself eating, eat well. In fact, eat well.
He has prepared the table in the presence of my enemies.
That's true. That's true. But you know, Isaiah, that's the relevant scripture. Yeah, prepare the table before you. Isaiah 29, it said, it shall be as when a hungry man dreams, and look, he eats, but he awakes and his soul is still empty. Or as when a thirsty man dreams, and look, he drinks, but he awakes and indeed he is faint, and his soul still craves. So, I mean, I don't know whether when you dream and you eat a whole plate of pounded yam or whatever it is, you actually have food in the house, or whether it is lack of having food in the house that is making you dream about all these things that you don't seem to have. Yes, let me see.
I'm sorry, eating in your dreams is a lack of spiritual strength. And to be honest, every time I don't eat in dreams anymore. I used to eat in dreams when I was not when I wasn't strong, and every time I ate, I woke up and I was sick. So there are two things that, in my own experience, are not one should not play with in dreams. One of them is food. The other one is sex. If either of them
That's going to be my next question. Go on.
Yeah, if you are participating, because we have to be, I mean, it's commonsensical. Your spirit man does not need to eat. It also does not need to have sex. If food comes up, it is symbolic. But if you are eating in your dreams, it okay, maybe, I mean, obviously you shouldn't make rules for other people, but in my own experience, it's bad. Bad.
But Jesus rose from the dead and he walked the plate of pounded yam.
Well, he was not spirit. So whatever it was, what
he came in through the wall.
I don't know what he was. even the Bible says when we awake, we will be like him, but we don't really know what that.
Let me see. Let's go to Genesis 18. Then the Lord appeared to Abraham by the terebinth trees of Mamre, as he was sitting in the tent door in the heat of the day. So he lifted his eyes and looked, and behold, 3 men were standing by him. And when he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them and bowed himself to the ground and said, "My Lord, if I have now found favor in your sight, do not pass on by your servant. Please let a little water be brought and wash your feet and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will bring a morsel of bread that you may refresh your hearts. After that, you may pass by, inasmuch as you have come to your servant." They said to him, "Do as you have said." So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah and said, "Quickly, make ready 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes." And Abraham ran to the herd took a tender and good calf, gave it to a young man, and he hastened to prepare it. So he took water and milk and the calf which he had prepared and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree as they ate. Now, this was the pre-incarnate Jesus appearing to Abraham, and they whacked pounded yam. They were spirit men, and they still whacked the meal. Yes, Benedict.
I think good evening, everyone, once again. Regarding what my sister MC just said, let me just add to it. I think it only happens to most time when you're not strong in spirit that you can eat. Enemy can feed you in a dream and will affect you. But if you are strong in the spirit, even though they do anything, I don't think it have any effect in you. Most of what they do when you are strong in the spirit, they try to fight you, not feed you. It is someone that is not strong in the spirit that you know that you want to poison, that you will attack you and feed him. But once you are strong in the spirit, it is fire that they will bring for you. I don't think it is like feeding. For a believer, if you eat in the dream,
who eat in the dreams, what happens to them?
Because sometimes people that want that they feel in the dream. Two things: if you are not strong in the spirit, if you feel in the dream, you might be sick. The person might eat poison, and before you know, the person die the following day morning.
No, I don't know.
The enemy use that a lot.
I don't know anything about that. People eat in the dreams and they don't die. People eat in the dreams and they don't die. You are extending the whole lifestyle. People eat in
No. The enemies, doctor, the enemy want the one that
they don't fall sick.
I agree with Benedict.
Once they want to attack,
I agree with you.
come,
Don't eat.
Once you are not strong, one of the things they do, they feed in dream. One of the of that they feed you in the dream. But once you know you are strong in the Lord, there's nothing that will happen. What they will do is to fight you. That when someone was talking about fighting battles in the dream, I know about that one. That one happened a lot.
Somebody just gave us a scripture. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies.
That's why I said I don't totally condemn eating in the dream.
Okay,
but
so
we should not throw the baby with the bathwater, because the enemy also feed people in the dream to catch person. If you're strong in the Lord, if they do that, they're just wasting their time because nothing will happen to you. But not to the baby with the bathwater, because the attack will is not strong, and one that they come through dreams. Because if the person will not come physically,
you can't determine what to do in the dream. So you cannot say.
You can. But my question, what is the symbolism of eating in a dream?
Hold on.
Why are you eating?
Your ability to control things in the spirit is not actual. Either you have controlled it before it happened, okay, which is you have the strength to control it. You cannot make a decision inside the dream that, no, I'm not going to take this thing.
Yes, doctor. What I'm saying
is going to respond according to whatever it is that you have already your spirit man.
Doctor, that I'm saying, you can't throw the baby with the bathwater, because there's some people that they are not strong in the spirit, and if the enemy want to catch them, they catch them through dreams. But if you are strong, no matter what they come with, if it is food, you can start and eat the food, not to happen to you. If it is bad to you, you will fight, you win them, and they will go. But if you are not strong in the spirit, they come with food, they will poison the person, and the person will die. That's why you can't throw the baby with the bathwater. It will not depend on you. It will not depend on you. You that we're talking now, are you strong in the Lord? Can you wake up in the morning and your soul is singing? Are you strong in the Lord? That is the main factor, not about the food anymore.
I established something for which I don't have any scriptures, so I cannot take it that if you will die.
Okay.
So I just read a scripture for you where people ate in the dreams and they didn't die. So that what statement you have said cannot be true. I just read a statement for you now. I just opened it. The statement said that people eat in the dreams and then they discover, and then when they wake up, they are hungry. So it didn't say when they wake up, they die because they have eaten in the dream. So I cannot establish in this kind of setting a position that has no spiritual backing. It's just an old wives' tale. You eat in the dream, you will die. I can't accept it. I'm sorry. Mr. Awonuga.
Yes, I just buttressed what I was going to say. That
whatever they feed you in the physical, if you have a restraint of not eating in the physical, or if you are a glutton and you normally eat, so it is what your man, your inner man has been disciplined to do. If you eat normally in the physical and you eat in the dream, I don't think anything will happen to you, because they can poison you in the physical too. They don't need to wait for it to feed you in your dream. So if you are talking about attacks in the spirit realm,
but some of these people, you won't eat what they give you now if you know who they are. They can't even get near to you to now say they're going to serve you a meal.
No, that's what I'm saying. They won't even, you won't even see the person. You won't know who is feeding you. So if they can feed you in the spiritual realm, they can feed you in the physical realm too. So it is what your mind says. I don't want to say because you don't eat in the spirit realm, then you won't die. If you eat normally in the physical, because no, I'm saying this because recently I just fought a battle about eating. Usually, I was preparing, I was presenting a choir practice, and I had not eaten since morning, and they provided lunch for everybody. When I finished the practice, I just took my lunch I'll just roll back to take my lunch and eat. And lo and behold, there were 18 packs and there are 2 extras, plus the 18 that were my own, and the 2 packs disappeared. So at first I was arguing with them, who did this? This is wrong. And I saw that it was a battle. What was I going to do about food? Was I going to make a fuss out of it? But I was angry, but I had to control myself. The next thing I did, I went to an eatery and I went to eat. So I found out that was a battle with the eating. Because like the Yamisi and Benedict are saying, food is a very substantial element in life. But I don't want to believe that if they should now say it inside, if you now decide to eat it in dreams, you're going to die. Food is an essential part of life. I remember that Christ said he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, and then the devil came to attack him. I said, turn this, because he noticed that food, in eating, there's a kind of strength, not just spiritual strength, but physical strength you get from food. So if they can attack you in the spirit realm, they can also attack you in the physical realm. So I just said it jokingly anyway, but I know that I've eaten in dreams and I didn't die. Not to say that I crave to eat in dreams, but most of the time when I'm hungry, that's when food just is desirous of me, is desirous for me in the dream.
I just wanted to say, as much as I've been a dreamer for most of my life, the people that I envy the most are not dreamers. I have a few friends that when they are sitting down here, they will hear a very specific word. They will see things in front of their eyes. I'm not sure that I want to have the gift, but I know that being awake and seeing and hearing is a stronger gift than when you're asleep, because if there's an emergency, then you have to go and lie down in order to get information. It doesn't really make any sense. So
no, you cannot orchestrate the dream now.
Yes, I know, but in essence, what I'm trying to say is that the gift of visions is a stronger gift than the gift of dreaming. There is a reason for that. Usually, dreamers are more stubborn than visionaries. Visionaries are more broken because God is used to actually talking to them and they are listening. They're not doubters. So if you see somebody who dreams, usually it's not a compliment. It is because they have to lie down and have their senses put to sleep in order to accept what God wants to tell them. So this idea of, oh, if you can eat when you are awake, no, because when you are asleep, a lot of things have been put to sleep in you in order to pass something across to you. So you're not in a position of strength. So this idea of, you are eating in your sleep means that you have some kind of, it's some kind of show of strength. It isn't. When you are awake.
There are more dreams in the book of Matthew then you know, maybe it's 80% of the dreams in the Bible are in the book of Matthew, and they are all dreams given to people who are of strength. Whether it is the wise men that are coming, whether it is Joseph, whether it is Zachariah. I mean, you know, they're dreams given to people, and it was given to them, and they were not spiritually weak people.
I agree.
There were people that were, you know, and you know, I mean, then also visions. Okay, there's a difference between God telling you something physically, but also He gives visions. He gives you a vision, which is a dream while you are awake. Yeah. So Peter was praying, and he had a vision, kill and eat. So I don't know how you are categorizing it, that some are more powerful or more, you know.
You understand.
When the Holy Spirit comes, we shall dream dreams and we shall see visions.
Yes, I agree. But you remember you asked a question once about reading people. And I answered you, I said, I don't know how to read. My discernment with people is bad. It's when I have to, but imagine that you have to make a judgment and you have to lie down to dream to see that person. I don't believe that is as strong as people I know who can actually see people and know what their spirit is. They have a strong sense of discernment. So anyway, I'm not making any rules. I'm just suggesting things.
So let me make you a suggestion. Let me make you a suggestion. You know, I always say that I'm a slow learner. And I know that it is a wrong thing to say, but I say it because I've discovered that there is something good about being a slow learner. Now, stop saying that you are bad at discernment, because you're saying it itself will confirm it. You say a thing, you are decreeing it. Start saying the opposite, because unless you don't mind not being able to discern. But if you want to be able to discern, start speaking it positively, so that God knows that you are interested in it. And the scriptures tell us that we can covet gifts. And when we covet gifts, He gives it to us, because God is not a God of denial. But we also mentioned about sex in dreams. People say that sex in dreams, they say people have spiritual husbands and spiritual wives. Does anybody have an opinion on this? Do you have an opinion that if somebody has a sex in a dream, that means that he has a spiritual husband or a spiritual wife? Maybe the person might not get married or something. I don't know. What do you think? Anybody with a point of view? Yes, Mr. Adeleke.
Yes, in fact, I want to relate it with the eating in dream. Most of these things are beliefs that is born out of before we met God, when we are in the world. These are beliefs of the world that people believe, and whatever you believe come to pass in your life. Because it's not in God. The faith is not in God. The faith is a worldly faith, you know. That when they eat in the dream, it comes to pass. Because I also understand that when I was young, at a very younger age, I hear stories. In fact, I know a particular man that eat in the dream, and he just becomes very, very sick. Whether he died or not, you know. But these are unbelievers. The same thing happens to the spiritual husband thing of the thing that we're talking about. As a child of God, I don't believe there's a spiritual husband. There's nowhere in the scripture that I talk about, because my faith is based on the scripture. My faith is based on the knowledge and wisdom of Jesus, because it's the ultimate definition of our faith. It is what He presented to us that we learn and we practicalize, that is applicable in our life. There's nothing like the spiritual husband does not exist. It's not practicable in our own faith. It's not our faith, so it cannot happen to a child of God. Something like that is alien. It's an alien faith. It's an alien belief. Whoever believes it is not in Christ. It's not in Christ. That is just what I can say.
There is The scripture, I don't know if I have time to look at it today. Okay, Deuteronomy 23:10. Let's see if we can open it. Deuteronomy 23:10. If there is any man among you who becomes unclean by some occurrence in the night, they shall go outside the camp. He shall not come inside the camp. There's a scripture that says, awake, awake, put on your beautiful garment. But it says, they shall no more come into you, the uncircumcised and the unclean. I mean, it's related to sex in the dream. And I feel that that scripture is saying that there's something wrong with it. That is a sort of a spiritual infestation or contamination. I don't know. Let me ask a last question. And who should I pose it to? Who hasn't talked much today? Okay, let me go to begin. If you see a dead person in a dream, is it a good thing or a bad thing?
If I see a dead person in a dream, I've always considered it bad. Because they are dead. I believe they should be sleeping. So
but begin, hold on.
Yeah.
How do you know they are dead? Hold on. Let us go scripturally. Jesus says that God says, I am the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. He didn't say, I was the God of Abraham. He says, I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Because he uses I am, it means Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are still alive. Okay?
Yeah.
If they were dead, he would say, I was the God of Abraham. Right? So the fact that you saw a dead man in your dream does not mean the man is dead. Does it?
Yeah. Like I said, it's just one of those things that I grew up with, and many times for my mom, the way her dream is, when she has a dream and sees dead people, you know that someone is going to die. Just that she cannot tell you exactly who, but someone, she can just tell you, it's just someone that she knows. So I think I had that.
The person dies.
Yeah, somebody dies.
Okay.
Somebody dies, and by the time when the news comes, oh, that's why she had this dream, because she had a dream and she saw this, that. So once she
but that's a different issue entirely. Okay? Because when she had the dream, the person wasn't dead. So
no, the person
okay,
wasn't
so
dead.
my question is slightly different. A person has died physically. Okay. And then after the person is dead and buried, you had a dream about the person. It's different from you had a dream about somebody and the person is still alive, but the dream says the person died.
Yes. So why I was relating it with that is generally seeing dead people. So I'm not sure. Maybe you heard me. For my mom, her dream is she sees the dead people who are dead, come back alive in her dream.
Okay, and then what is the significance of that?
So for her, once she sees someone who is dead and comes back alive, it means somebody close to her is going to join them. So as I'm saying, I grew up with that thought, because many times when she sees someone who is dead in her dream, someone that she knows dies. So that's why sometimes I don't want to see dead people in my dream. But it doesn't really happen to me like that. It doesn't work for me that way. I've seen dead people. In fact, my old man, I've played with him several times as a child. He will come and we'll play, and when he's about to leave, I'll be struggling to follow, and he'll be pushing me back and not wanting me to go with him, but we would play, and I always go to sleep wanting to see him. But after a while it stopped. And in fact, the next time I saw him in my dream again, I was a bit scared. But yeah, I'm not really bothered about seeing dead people. I don't really know that the significance. I just enjoyed it, so I can relate it with my old man. I enjoyed playing with him. Maybe because I was a child. I don't see dead people now.
I read a story of a child that this dead person was calling him, and when he told the mother said, "Don't answer. Tell the person, go away. I'm not talking to you," or something. He said, because if you answer, they will carry you away or something. There are all these kinds of stories. Anyway, thank you, Bege. Yes, Benedict.
Sir, let's go back to the question that you raised about having spiritual husband or spiritual wife.
Yes.
Mr. Dotun disclaimed it and said he, as a believer, such thing does not exist. I'm trying to look at it. We have two kingdoms, the kingdom of light and the kingdom of darkness. But in the kingdom of darkness, that does not operate, because that's the reason why most people go for deliverance. Because if you throw everything with the way Mr. Dotun says, you say as if that those things not exist. But in the kingdom of darkness, it operates. Some people, because they are not in the light, and some of them are in the church, some of them they are in our family members, they have those kind of experience. I will not going to say because the knowledge is there, that does not exist, or because we need to separate them from each other. Because I know for a child of God, once you are clean to Jesus, those things will never exist again.
Yeah,
but what of the world?
Benedict, you cannot gain knowledge from the kingdom of darkness.
I know that.
Realize. So a lot of what you are telling us is not something that has come by scriptural revelation. You are talking to us about things that you have heard, that people are told. Why should we bother about them? That's your truth position.
Because I understand his position at the same time, but I know people go for deliverance because of this kind of thing that they notice in their life. And some of them, they are not born again. Some of them are also Christian. If everybody who comes to church or who go to church are truly born again. But we cannot just say they don't exist the way Mr. Lord is claiming it. Because the way he said it, I just let me raise the question, because people will say that this is what has been happening to me. But sometimes it exists. I'm not talking about somebody who is in light. Now, when you're in the light, you know that the only person that needs to have issue with or have it is God. And when you're in the kingdom of light, those things will never exist because you're in the kingdom of light. Because Jesus said in the world, there's trouble, there are all kind of issues. Okay, sir. I'm just trying to learn to understand. I'm not arguing, no. I just want to understand.
I want to ask you a question. And it's a foolish question. Is the devil real?
The devil is real now. Jesus talk about devil. Means that is real.
Okay, all right.
Just talk about this.
Thank you. For some of us, the devil is not real. So we're not bothering with him. Yes, Mr. I beg your pardon?
Sorry to just. I'm going to talk about dreaming about people who are dead.
Yes.
My old man, is an epitome of discipline and achievement, especially when he was alive. But he's been gone 26 years now. Even from the 3 or 4 months after he was buried, I still saw him. I said, but they say we are missing this man. And I still see where he was buried. But he's still disciplining me. He's still chastening me. He's still correcting me. So what does it mean? You said?
What year did he die?
1995.
Okay. All right.
1995. So I say, but they say this man is dead. Even up till now, I know he used to flog us then. He doesn't flog me as much now, in that sense of it. But at least he still corrects me. And I say,
not him.
But I know.
The old man is with the Lord.
I know. I agree. I agree.
So the Lord is in his face.
Yes, I know. I'm just confirming it. Now, when we see somebody dead in the dream, that is a signature or is a sign of God's communication with us or something, because he was a person of authority in my life. So because of that, when he or sometimes I see you too in a dream.
He's representing God because as Father. Yes. Yeah. I mean, my old man was the one that gave me the money to buy the building on the Festival Road, and he was just representing God.
Yeah.
He had long been gone. That's why I asked. He also passed 1996.
Yeah.
There was a scripture I was opening. I thought, okay, let me open it in terms of sex and the dreams. Awake, awake. Put on your strength, O Zion. Put on your beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city. For the uncircumcised and the unclean shall no longer come to you. I mean, sex in dreams is to some extent having the uncircumcised and the unclean coming to you. So I don't think that can be a good thing. That is my own judgment. It seems, in the law of Moses, in fact, that person is unclean and has to go out of the camp. Even people who have what they call wet dreams, they have to go out of the camp. You can say that they are unclean for a season. That was the injunction. It means that there is something inside them that is not righteous. And the devil is able to use it as a manipulative tool. Okay, we have even gone longer than I'm going to have to go to my office to get my my cables. Chuchu, please, can you pray for us? Let us close the service.
In Jesus' name, Almighty and everlasting Father, we thank you. Thank you for bringing us once again into your presence to hear your word, to learn at your feet, Lord. We ask that what we've heard, you make it dwell in us. You help us to use it and help us to understand it according to your will and your way. In Jesus' name, Lord, as we go to bed, do our various whatever, Lord, please take control. Thank you, Lord, for answering our prayers. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Say to the righteous, it is well with you.